Curb Servers, The Tale of Little Wino, Episode 1. Now this is giving a backdrop to some of the different characters that's involved in the curb serving universe. Now one of the characters that's prominently talked about is Little Wino. We're gonna give a backdrop on Little Wino. Now me growing up, I had like 4 or 5 best friends since like elementary. Well, why is that important? It's important because this is how you set up the root of the story. What's the root? You guys don't make gumbo? It's the base. Little Wino, we became friends, I want to say like first grade. Now I met him like when I'm in like kindergarten. But like the first grade is when I really started walking to elementary school with all the different kids on the block. You said, what are you talking about? Yeah, because in kindergarten, I wasn't allowed to walk to school with the kids on the block. No, my mama took me to school and dropped me off and picked me up. But by the first grade, no, all that was over. My mama was like, hey, get dressed. Hey, all the little kids is about to take off to walk to school. You better go find your crowd to jump in, or you can be walking by your fucking self. Yeah, that was the thing when I was a kid. It was about everybody trying to get up, get dressed, eat your cereal, and get outside so you can jump into one of these packs of kids that's walking down the street. Because there's all kind of packs of kids walking down the street. Now, one of the first pack of kids I was walking down the street with was me, Little Wino, Ken Dog, Murdoch, Skeeter. There was other kids watching us that was 2, 3, 4 years older than us that went to elementary school with us. You know, Jap them walking with us, my homie Lynn, they're walking with us. They're paying attention. They're making sure we don't get too wild, right? The parents trust them. We'll walk with the other kids, but we might take a different direction. We might cut through an alley, you know, take a side street, get a little privacy for some of the older kids that's all up in our business trying to give us directions, right? They're trying to be responsible. And we wanted to go in the alley in the mornings because we wanted to be able to hop into people's yards, you know what I'm saying, and get a tangerine, get some loquats, right? This was our number one mission. Now this is gonna bring us in to the story of Little Wino. Early in the morning, Little Wino was always one of the first kids out in the neighborhood, you know, saying, hey, let's go, let's get to walking. Because we always wanted to get to school a little earlier. Yeah, we wanted to go to the grocery store. We had a, what was the name of the grocery store? Was it ABC's? Maybe it was ABC's. But it was a grocery store on the way to school. We love to stop at the grocery store, right? I learned this from Little Wino. Little Wino always said, come on, hurry up, let's go. Because we want to go out our way a couple of blocks so we can go to this grocery store. Why does Little Wino want to go to the grocery store? Because he wants to get some free breakfast. Yeah, see, either you're going to hit the alleys or you're going to go out your way and you're going to hit the ABC grocery store on your way to school. Yeah, and on your way there, when you get there, you're going to walk into the fruit section, you're going to grab a couple of grapes, you're going to eat them. Yeah, you might even open up, you know, one of the little cereal bar boxes and grab you a little cereal bar out of there and start and put it in your pocket. Yeah, we were little thieves. That's right. Yeah, we want to steal something on the way to school. That was the number one mission. That was the mission in the morning. Not all the time, but most times. Because sometimes we wouldn't go to the store because we didn't want them to get too, you know, up on us. But like once a week, we'd go to the store, you know, buy something small out the store and be eating while we're buying something small. This is the game I got from Little Wino on the way to school. He always, so you got to remember, Little Wino, although we're tight as thieves, inseparable. Ever since the first, second grade, there's no separating me, Little Wino, Ken Dog, Skeeter, and a few more characters. There's no separating us. But there's age gaps. I'm the baby. Ken Dog's a year older than me. Murdoch's a year older than me. Little Wino's 2 years older than me. Skeeter's a year older than me. So whatever they say and whatever they're down with, I'm down with. We was all a crew and we all had different relationships for different reasons. Little Wino was probably the first person house I ever spent over. outside of my house on the block. Little Wino moved onto the block probably a couple months after us. All of us moved onto the block, I want to say around kindergarten, maybe to the first grade. By the first grade, all these characters I've named was on the block. Little Wino had two older brothers. One of his older brothers was already a full-fledged gangbanger. He was a West Side Crip. I believe he was from Underground. He never hung in the neighborhood. When they moved over there, we was kids and come outside to play. He was always get dressed, come outside, say what's up to us, and he got on a bus and he went back to the West Side. So Little Wino, older brothers that was into the gangs, they never really hung out with the guys in the neighborhood. They never, got a chance to get to know the different guys in the neighborhood. Because they was always on the bus and back to the West Side somewhere, hanging out with the Underground. I was spending the night over Little Wino house a lot as a child. It was one of the first times I ever seen parents have a real black fight, or what we would say today, a nigga fight. So let me give you a little background on the kind of household Little Wino grew up in. Little Wino's mom is like my auntie. To this day, there's only a handful of women that my mom will call her sister, right? About 5 or 6 of them. And I don't mean like her blood sisters, but like her girlfriends. Yeah, that she put them right on the same level as her blood sisters. Some of them she would put above her blood sisters, to be honest with you, because that's how tight of a relationship she has with them. In no certain order, Little Wino's mom, my Aunt Mary, is one of them. My Aunt Gina, who we call my Thea, she's one of them. My Aunt Minnie would be one of them. My Aunt Teresa would be one of them. There's plenty of them that my mom would call her sister. There's some that was her sister originally, but they may have fell out. Like my Auntie Jackie. There's some that my mom may not call like her sister to this day, but she trusts them more than she trusts anybody in the world when it comes to her child. Like my Auntie Terry Ann. Like my mom would trust my Auntie Terry Ann to make decisions for me as a child over anybody she knew, including her blood sisters. That's how much trust she had in my Auntie Terry Ann. And that wasn't even my blood auntie. Little Wino's mom was one of them. So I was allowed to spend the night over Little Wino's house anytime I wanted to. All my Aunt Mary had to do was come say, hey, he's spending the night over my house. She didn't even have to ask. She just had to inform. And sometimes, if my mom wasn't around, she'd just say, hey, come on with me. I'll let your mom know later that you're rolling with me. Yeah, she would tell one of the other ladies in the neighborhood, hey, tell her that he's gone with me. That's how it would go down with Little Wino's mom. That's how close they were as far as trusting each other's children. Little Wino could spend the night over my house with no questions. Never a question. He ain't got to ask. He would just inform. Be like, hey, auntie, I'm staying tonight. My mom would be like, all right. Yeah, that's how we got out. One night, I'm spending the night over Little Wino house. We get up early in the morning, watching some cartoons. Back in those days, we would get up at 5:36 in the morning. We had cartoons we had to watch. Speed Racer, Felix the Cat. Okay, you know what? I'll stop. I'm doing too much. I understand. Let me bag up. Let's stick to the story. One night I spent the night over Little Wino house. We're probably like in the first grade, second grade at the most. We eating cereal early in the morning, watching Speed Racer. And his mom and his pops gets into an argument. Now, as most nigga households, this isn't his blood pops, it's his step pops. But as children, we don't know no difference. This is your pops. He's the man in the house. He's telling everybody what to do. He's pops. And to this day, I look at him as my uncle. We're sitting there eating cereal early in the morning watching Speed Racer. Little Wino's mother and pops get into a heated argument, a explosive argument. Words are flying around where the children are starting to look up like, hey, what's going on? But it's one of those real nigga arguments where they don't even care that the kids are sitting there. Everybody ego is involved. Everybody wants to get their point across. Uncle is saying some wild shit out of his mouth. Auntie is saying some wild shit. Eventually, Uncle says, enough. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, that's how bad it got. I looked over, kind of to get Uncle to see my face to let him know, like, hey, I'm scared. The kids want you to see their face so you can have an opportunity to kind of say, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it, and check your ego. But they was already too far gone. There wasn't no checking the ego at this point. No, Uncle was hot and Auntie was hot. And somebody had to win this battle. So both of them is going off talking crazy. So eventually, Uncle stood up and he says, I said, shut the fuck up, woman. She said, yeah, you can't tell me shit. You better watch who the fuck you talking to. Auntie standing on her business, Uncle standing on his business. Now they're starting to get physically close to each other. Now we're getting nervous. Uncle punched Auntie in the stomach. Boom! I said, shut the fuck up. I looked directly at Little Wino. At this time, his nickname isn't Little Wino, but you guys already know the character. So I look at Little Wino. Little Wino has a look in his face like he's scared. He has never seen something like this before. What do you think Auntie Mary did? She shut the fuck up. The uncle said, that's it. Now get the fuck out of my face. She nodded her head to say, okay. Uncle had one of those recliner chairs, that only one person can sit in. He went to sit back down in his chair and he told all of us, sit down. Don't worry about him. So we had a little fight. I'm sorry. Everybody relax, sit down. So we all sat down quietly. Now nobody wants to eat the cereal. And Mary goes back into the kitchen quietly. She doesn't say anything. Uncle's not saying anything. He's just sitting there in his recliner chair with a frown on his face. We're all looking at the TV, looking back over our shoulder at Uncle, looking back to the TV. Auntie Mary walks back into the scene. She's holding a big old pot of oatmeal, hot oatmeal. It's bubbling. It's boiling. Y'all know how the story goes, right? Anybody who grew up in a nigga family, you know how this story ends. Yeah, Aunt Mary walked right up to Uncle while he was sitting there in his chair, nice and comfortable. He had picked his paper back up, was starting to read his paper, kind of put us in check. Everybody pay attention, watch the TV. Don't worry about it. That's over with. Everybody chill the fuck out. Aunt Mary wasn't chilling out. Nope. No, she had vengeance on her mind. See, Aunt Mary, she wasn't the type of woman that can take abuse. She wasn't built for that. Nah, she was progressive. She was a futuristic black woman. She wasn't down with that 1970s and 1960s and 1950s nigga abuse household. Nah, she wasn't with all that. No, she walked right up with a big old pot. Because I didn't know what she was finna do with the pot. I looked over, I saw her walking up behind Uncle with the pot. Me and Little Wino, we both seen it. And I was looking. And Aunt Mary walked up, I never forget. She had that big old pot. And she poured a whole pot on the back of Uncle's head, neck, and back. Yeah, right on the back of his head, right on the back of his neck, and right on his back. I mean, he jumped out that chair like a long-tailed cat sitting next to a rocking chair that went backwards. Yeah, you ever seen a rocking chair go backwards and a cat is sitting next there and the cat's tail is underneath the rocking chair leg and the cat jumps up and says, "Row!" Yeah, that's what happened. That hot oatmeal hit Uncle the back of his hair, the back of his neck, the top of his shoulders, all down the top of his spine. Oh, man. Uncle jumped out that chair. Oh, shit. He was doing the Indian dance. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Uncle was doing the Indian dance. When she walked in there and she poured all over the back of his head and his neck and his shoulder. Let me tell you something. To this day, I am afraid to hit a woman in the stomach. I don't believe in hitting women or abusing women to this day because it's a scene that is stuck in my head. Yes, I remember the look on Uncle's face, how big his eyes was, the shock, the fear, the pain. He was screaming, yelling. And as he was screaming, trying to gain his composure, trying to pull his shirt up, what you think my Aunt Mary did? Yeah, she went to cracking him over the head with the barrel. Yes, he's yelling like a fucking Indian. Ooh, ay, 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 ooh, wee, 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 ay, 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 ay. She can missing and trying to hit him over the head with the barrel. Bam, bam, bam. He's trying to run into the other room and snatch his shirt off and protect his head. It was a mess. Yeah, see, that is the household little Wino grew up in. And so I can remember my Aunt Mary always had a job. My Aunt Mary, well, she's had a job my whole life. Yeah, see, little Wino mama was the one who take us to Magic Mountain, Knoxbury Farm, Disneyland. We went everywhere with her. She always had a job. She just had a son that didn't give a fuck, little Wino. But this is the kind of household he grew up in, right? This is why he didn't give a fuck. This is the end of episode 1, the background on little Wino. We're going to go into some more characters going soon. Stick in. Be careful. I'll be back.